Welcome to the third episode of FoneArena Talkies, our weekly tech talk where we get to share our own perspectives on last week's news and also our up-to-date experiences with the devices, the latest devices that we have got. Today we'll be mostly talking about them that have landed in our labs, and we'll also engage with you, the viewer. So if you have any questions, let us know in the questions app that we have enabled right now. So let's start with the show, I guess. I want to start talking about the major device again. Last week we talked about the S7 Edge, but right now we have had more experience with it. So I want to hear Varun and Sandeep talk about the S7 and the S7 Edge.
Sure. Well, we can start, I guess.
There you go. So yeah, who's starting? Sandeep, you want to start with the S7 Edge?
Yeah, all right. I mean, so I guess I've had a time to play with both the devices right now, and I'm really impressed by both. That's why I got an S7 Edge personally also for the same reason. The main thing that attracted me is probably the camera, and other than that, battery life. Compared to the previous generation, battery life has received a huge bump, especially in terms of the S7 Edge. So the S6 Edge, even though it was a 5.1 inch device, it had a 2600 mAh battery, and this has a 3600 mAh battery. So even with the increase in screen size of around 0.4 inches, the battery life is really good. Like on a normal day when I'll be running to connect the Note 5, that's what I was using earlier, Note 5 to a charger, either in the car or at the office or something. This can actually take me through the entire day. And I'm actually a pretty heavy user, so that's a big improvement in terms of battery life. I think apart from the battery capacity, the main attribute is Android Marshmallow, and thanks to those, which is why we're getting such a good battery life. So now coming towards the camera, I think it's really capable in terms of low light. Siraj and I were actually sitting at a sunset point, and we were actually waiting for the light to go down because the camera was still able to capture so much amount of light in that short duration, thanks to the f1.7 lens and 12 megapixel camera. There's hardly any noise. But what I did notice was that there's a bit of over processing or a bit of how do you say? I'm not sure what exactly it is, but some of the detail is basically lost during the process.
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical Samsung processing. They blow out the highlights all the time, but shadow, I saw some camera samples posted around the internet, and I saw that the shadow detail seems pretty good, but the highlights are blown out.
Yeah, in terms of exposure, I think it's okay, but yeah, like you said, there is some of highlights blown out. But I was talking more in terms of the actual detailing. I think they're applying excessive noise reduction filters.
Oh, yeah.
As a result, a lot of detail is lost. First of all, the detailing is less compared to the previous generation because it's a 12 megapixel and not a 16 megapixel. And on top of that, they apply mask over it, so it becomes worse. So we were actually comparing two photos side by side, raw photo as well as a JPEG one that Samsung does with the processing, and there's a lot of difference compared to the JPEG, what the RAW is able to capture, what the JPEG is able to capture in terms of detail. And there's also some kind of a white ghosting sort of effect that comes on the JPEG files if you actually pixel peep. But yeah, if you're not a person who pixel peeps, if you just want a photo that looks good overall, mainly for social media purposes and not for printing or enlarging it beyond
Did you try raw photos with the S7?
Yeah, we tried. So that's why I say when you compare raw on both, like raw versus JPEG, right?
Okay.
It's a difference in terms of actual detail and the kind of. I think raw has the ability to capture photos really well, but the processing is a bit too much. I think it worked fine on the S6 Edge and the Note 5, and you actually had 16 megapixels of resolution to work with, but they're following the same algorithm for the S7, and that doesn't really work for the smartphone because it's already good in low light. You don't need that much.
You're saying that the noise performance is poor even with the raw mode?
Noise performance is not poor. I'm saying that a lot of detail is lost.
No, I mean, yeah. So basically, what they have done is reducing the noise, right? I mean, interpolation for low light is crazy,
but
right?
they don't need to do it. Is the point? They don't need to do that much because it's the sensor and the.
So is this still visible in raw? You're saying?
Sorry.
the artifacts that you're mentioning are
Yeah.
visible in RAW, you're saying?
No, only in JPEG.
Okay, okay.
Only in JPEG.
Yeah,
In
that's so
RAW,
typical of Samsung. Yeah.
that's what. So it's just the way they're processing the JPEGs that are causing it to look like that. So if they handle that, I mean that's of course on the software end. So in a few updates, perhaps they can perfect that. But until then, I would definitely recommend people who know how to take control of raw photos or who know how to use manual mode to go with that option because you can do so much more with the photos. The camera hardware itself is quite capable.
Right, right. And Varun, you had a chance to play with the S7 and the S7 Edge's camera, right?
Yes,
How
I'm
did you
actually
like it
coming
from?
to. I'm using the S7 Edge front-facing camera for the Hangout today. So,
That's awesome.
so it's a very pretty wide-angle camera. So, one more quick thing could be actually tweak the link to the Hangout. A lot of us are messaging that
Yeah,
we
it
won't
should
tweak
be
it.
on the YouTube channel. It should be on our YouTube channel as a link.
Yeah,
So,
I'll be
guys, if
interested in
you're
this.
watching, if you want to share it with your friends, go ahead to our YouTube channel where the link will be present,
Could we
and
just
we'll be
tweet it?
yeah,
Like, could we just tweet the link on our phone and a handle so that people can actually join more easily because they don't
yeah.
know how to join. So yeah, I've been using the S7 Edge as my main phone. So this is the S7 Edge. Really love this black color, although it's a fingerprint magnet on the back, as you can see here. But it is a design masterpiece. Probably one of the best devices from Samsung until I picked this up yesterday from Xiaomi. So that's the Mi 5, which actually arrived yesterday. You should have seen our unboxing. So this is the device, the box that comes in, the Mi 5. First Snapdragon 820 device we have that. But before that, we go to the Mi 5, the S7 Edge, and the S7. So I don't know. The S7 is also a really nice device, but seems pretty small compared to the S7 Edge. And I'm sure the S7 Edge has better battery life than the S7. So that's my welcome change coming from the. I've used, I think probably I've tried the S6 Edge before this. So that's from last year. And most recently, I was using the Note 5. So the reason I moved on from the Note 5 was two reasons. One, it didn't have a micro SD card slot, and two, the battery life wasn't as great. I think it was running only on Android, I think Lollipop. But this one, the S7 Edge, runs on Marshmallow, and as Sandeep said, it does help with the doors and everything. And I'm getting decent battery life, so I'm getting almost through a day. Like normally, I would have to charge my like previously I was on the Redmi Note 3 and just Chella battery life, and before that, my long-term device was Moto Style, which I've not now stopped using. So now I'm on the S7 Edge. Can get about roughly about 3/4 of a day through with heavy usage, which and with about a day's usage with light usage or moderate usage, which is impressive. I think this combination of both hardware and software. And what I like is that TouchWiz is actually smooth. It's actually gotten a lot better, and it's actually very fluid compared to previous versions. And I think it's probably Marshmallow, the processor, the internals. It has 4 gigs of RAM now, and I'm actually using it as a single SIM device, and I have a 200 gig SD card in there. So kind of nice, but I wish they didn't make this hybrid and allowed me to have a secondary SIM as well as a micro SD card slot. But still, as of now, I'm using it as a single SIM device over 4G on Airtel, and it's fine, and I like it. The only thing is that since it's I would prefer to have the Snapdragon version, which probably has better reception. But in India, they're selling only the Exynos version. Not only India, I just checked other markets. I think only the US has a Snapdragon version. I did check Hong Kong, Singapore, a lot of other markets in Asia as well. It's gotten only this Exynos version. We are trying to actually get hold of the Snapdragon version to see if there's any major difference. But sadly, I think it's only sold in the US, and it's going to be a little hard to get hold of. So we'll probably have more insight onto that later. But as of now, really like it, and like I actually went and bought one because wanted to come back to Samsung after leaving Samsung on the Note 5. Really wanted to use the Note 5, but couldn't really use it because of the missing memory card slot and the sloppy performance. But the camera is something I really love on the, as you can see, I'm coming from the front camera of the S7 Edge. Really beautiful cameras, and it's totally like stellar performance in terms of how it works. And I'm actually thinking of actually doing we should do a comparison between the iPhone 6s Plus and the S7 Edge because both are great cameras. And until now, I wasn't using my the camera on my Android device so much because of the Moto style. It didn't have a great camera, but the S7 Edge I've been trying to use it more because it's actually a great camera, both the front and the back camera. Although it's a downsized camera module, it's only a 12 megapixel, but it gets very good detail. As we did check out last week when me and Sandeep and Siraj were out, we were trying it out, and it was indeed great. But still, yeah, a little bit of overblown artifacts and colors slightly oversaturated. So all that I think is Samsung processing, but still I think for a flagship it's pretty good. And yeah, so that's so Bharat, have you got a chance to play with these?
Okay.
I don't think you can hear Bharat.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did I
okay.
fix that? I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No,
Yeah.
it's
So the DxO mark rating, I was talking about that. I haven't checked the S7 and the S7 Edge out, but I have been checking out these camera samples, which are pretty awesome. I've been checking out the camera samples from all these reviews, and I think they have pretty good detail. I mean, for a smartphone camera, they are great.
agreed.
And the DxO mark rating is 88. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy, right? Sandeep, you know, the DxO mark ratings are very highly respected,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty awesome thing to see that it's got 88, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the primary reason why it got 88 is because of the dual pixel autofocus system. The automotive speeds are really, really insane. I've never seen a phone focusing on an object this fast. Most of the time, when I'm actually even just holding the phone, it's actually focused even before I have to tap. So it's that fast. I mean, it happens on photo or video, and even while recording video. So it just shifts focus much faster than any other camera. I've actually seen a few examples where people compare it to the Canon 70D, for example, and the S7 Edge or the S7 is actually doing much better. So I think that's one of the main reasons, and that gives it a lot of points because no other, even the Xperia Z5, I don't think it has an autofocus system as fast as this because dual pixel means that every pixel is essentially an autofocus point.
Yeah,
So that is really, really fast. And the low light performance is again unparalleled, but then again, I would say you have to shoot in RAW rather than in JPEG in order to get the full capability out. So overall, the camera is just truly breathtaking, I would say, especially in terms of video. Video, what I noticed is that the bitrate is much higher than previous generations, and the amount of detail is all. Since it's anyway 12 megapixel is more than enough for 4K video.
yeah,
So the amount of the detail resolved in the videos is much more than the previous generation as well. I would have liked to have a full manual mode like the LG V10 perhaps for video in order to take full advantage of that, especially in low light. But sadly, that's not there. I hope Samsung does release some sort of an update to solve that. So that's the only thing missing in terms of camera on the 7S and Edge.
right. And I also wanted to shift to a more interesting and a newer segment in technology, VR. And why I want to talk about it is because this week Sony announced the pricing and launch details for the PlayStation VR, which I think is very, very interesting because it's going to be the cheapest point of entry for VR gaming. I believe that because if you already have a PS4 and the eye camera and the move sticks, I think most people already have that, and if you already have that, then it's going to be just $399 for entry into VR gaming, which is actually good quality. I mean, PlayStation is awesome for gaming, obviously. So I think it's a pretty great deal for VR gaming, but I'm not sure about the computing part. Did you guys get to see about this news and form any opinions on it?
I think VR is quite subjective in the sense that unless you get a proper hands-on or first-hand experience on it, it becomes quite difficult to say exactly how good it is.
Uh,
But
Sorry, Sandeep. I just want to ask this. You have tried the PlayStation VR, right? Because I haven't. I have tried the HTC Vive, but I have not tried the PSVR. Have you tried it?
PS Vita,
The
sorry,
VR, the headset.
PlayStation VR. No, I haven't tried it.
Okay, okay. Please
So,
carry on.
hello.
Yep.
Yeah, can you hear? Yeah, it went in. Sorry, I didn't hear. What did you ask?
No, no. You were saying about the
Yeah, so
PlayStation VR.
unless you have a proper first-hand experience with it, it becomes difficult to understand how good it exactly is, and the specifications say one thing, but proper real-life demonstration or a look at it actually gives you a better, knowledge about how it's actually going to perform. It seems interesting, like you said, the price point is really, really interesting. 399 is not much, especially considering that most people already have a PlayStation 4 and the move sticks and most of the other things set up. But what sort of content and how well it's able to perform against the likes of the HTC Vive or Oculus is something that remains to be seen. Right? And PlayStation, judging from their past, they've had instances where they actually promise a lot in terms of the hardware they offer, but they don't actually support it in the long term. They always end up dropping support midway through the product cycle or something like that. So if they actually see it through that there's actual proper content being generated for this on a regular basis, then it's something that people can definitely look forward to.
Apparently, they are making about 50 plus games for the October launch. It's launching only in October, the consumer variant, and yeah, hopefully Sony should have enough content, but
Yeah,
mostly I think it'll be games. Uh, People like Oculus and HTC and Valve are working on other types of experiences, I believe. What's your take on that, Varun?
So yeah, I think
no, go ahead.
yeah, HTC. I think the Vive. I think is a. I tried it, and it was a different experience altogether. I've tried the Samsung Gear VR, the Oculus. The Samsung VR is obviously pretty entry level stuff. The Oculus is great, but only problem with Oculus is it's going to be really expensive compared to the Vive. So I'm not going to be not going to be seeing a lot of adoption to the Oculus system. But the Vive, I mean the HTC Vive, with especially with Valve on board, I think it should be really interesting. But what is interesting about PlayStation is that they have this big network of gamers, right? So who already have a PlayStation, and obviously they are going addicted to that kind of system. And there's rumors about a PlayStation 4.5 also, like something for a VR and a 4K upgrade, which is a rumored data for this year. But I'm sure that if PlayStation kind of comes up with a lot of games for VR, it's going to be going mainstream, considering people don't even have PCs for gaming, but some of them have only consoles, especially the PlayStation gamers. So I think that should be interesting. But obviously, Sony is always expensive stuff. So I'm not really sure what will the pricing be. It's probably cheaper than the Vive. Maybe it has a
It
chance,
is.
but
It's $399. They have announced it, and also
yeah.
I think HTC Vive was 699 or something. I'm not sure. And
799.
the Oculus Rift is 599, if I'm not wrong.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the Sony PSVR, I think yeah, we should see what the content is like before
Yeah.
deciding how great
But
it.
what would be interesting is because Sony is actually one of the traditional gamers, right? So gaming companies, do they have how do they kind of transform from offering like conventional games, 3D, and to over the fourth dimension VR? Whereas Valve, I think, has already, and Oculus have already been experimenting in VR. So it would be
Yeah.
nice to see what actually Sony does in terms of VR. But what I'm more excited about in terms of VR, or not even VR, I think 360 degree, is that Samsung new camera, 360 degree camera, which
Yes.
actually enables you to capture 360 degree footage. That's coming actually to India later this year when Samsung announced at the event in India. It's actually coming. And did you see Casey and his chats walking the red carpet
Yes.
at Oscar
Yes.
with that
Yes. Yes.
camera?
That was
Insane
awesome.
stuff. I mean, for a consumer level 3D camera, I think
Yeah, he could.
few years back, you need a GoPro rig costing thousands of dollars and so much of editing to get a 360 video out. And now with just a ball-sized camera, anybody can capture 360 degree footage. I'm going to be actually putting one in my car. Driving around, it's going to be fun. Or maybe we
Yeah.
can do it in the show floor next year, maybe at Mobile World Congress or CES or any event for that matter. It should be fun because that's what probably would encourage people to get VR headsets, right? As of now, I think only the Samsung Gear VR is there. There are a lot of cheaper options as well, but I think content generation is still lacking in terms of VR. I mean, this is just video content, right? Not even
Yeah.
it's not really great quality, but still it's fun watching like a 360-degree view of what's around you.
It's
So yeah,
almost like you're walking with that person. Like when I was watching the Casey Neistat Oscar vlog, like it felt like that. It was like I was there with Casey Neistat and watching all those celebrities close by. So that
yeah.
was a pretty awesome experience. Yeah. So Sandeep, you were saying something. I think you got blocked out by the audio.
No, basically, yeah. I mean, I'm also looking forward to trying this. I want to see how it is. But like, as Sony has, done in the past, I hope that they continue support for this for a long time. The PS Vita was one thing that I actually invested in it, but it actually didn't really materialize into. They promised a lot of games and all that. But I was actually spending almost an entire year waiting for something that something of proper substance to play on that console. But I think maybe they did it much later on. But I felt quite disappointed because of the lack of content. So now I hope that they've actually brought it to a proper what do you call it, stage where they can actually release games as and when they promise. So as long as the content is good, I think the system will do well because people are already invested in this kind of ecosystem. So they will need to actually try, like Varun said, a fourth dimension, to improve the game experience.
Right, right. And yeah, I think that pretty much brings it to a conclusion, I guess, about the PSVR. And the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the Mi 5. Varun, you're using it right now, right? The Mi 5.
Yeah, we've been playing with it. This is probably one of the best devices, mobile devices I've used in a while. I mean, I've used pretty much all the Xiaomi devices, I mean, since the beginning. So this is the Mi 3 we have here. It's managed to get it out from somewhere. This is the Mi 3, which launched probably Xiaomi's thing, one of the early devices they launched in India. This was actually, the moment I heard about Xiaomi, and I think we were in, I think, Computex for Taipei, so we picked this up. And I was like, okay, this seems an interesting device, and for the price, so this was I think 2 years back. So this is the Mi3, and then you had the Mi4. So this is the Mi4, chunky, heavy device, and this is the basically the wooden back. We actually replaced it. So that's the Mi4, and moving on, this is the Mi5. I mean, look at how awesome it is. I mean, you can't really justify it by looking at pictures or video. You need to get one in your hands. It's super light. You should have checked out you should have seen our unboxing video. It's super light, only about 129 grams. And the moment I pick it up and the S7 Edge in the other hand, I'm like, wow. So there's a huge difference in terms of the weight and also how compact it is. Although it's a 5.15-inch screen, it's got a really nice like arrangement with in terms of the bezels. It's a very thin bezels on the side, so it's pretty nice. And you also have a fingerprint sensor on the front, so which is interesting. And you have a home key. So somebody wanted to actually see this next to the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. So that's both of them next to each other. Not much
Wow,
of
the bezel
similarity,
is
I would
really
say.
thin. I mean, I didn't expect
And
the bezel to be this thin.
yeah, it's so much thinner and lighter, and it's also not very similar. Although the curves are similar, I would say, the back and the front. Uh, so that's that. But overall, I mean, this is the first Snapdragon 820 device we are actually playing with, and seems interesting. No heating issues as of now. Seems blazing fast. Also, the battery life seems very optimized. It's running on Android 6.0 Marshmallow out of the box. So that way, it's got. This is actually Chinese variant, so we didn't have Google Play on it. We had to actually sideload it. But camera is also interesting. It's got I think, a really nice arrangement for the camera on the back. There's no protruding lens, and it's actually very similar to the Mi Note we played with last year. So it's actually shrunken down. If you've actually played with the Mi Note or the Mi Note Pro, you'll know how chunky it was, how heavy it was, but it was still an awesome device. This is the
Yeah.
Mi Note, and they've actually managed to make it so tiny. I mean, they've shrunk the Mi Note into a Mi 5. So, and it's the same 3D glass back cover. This is a Mi Note Pro, which is the Snapdragon 810 version. This one, they've managed to shrink it, but still retain the massive 3000 plus mAh battery and also the Snapdragon 820. and a really nice camera on the front and the back, and really good display too. It's not got expandable storage. You have only, this is a 64 gigabyte model we're playing with, so this is a 64 gigabyte storage model, and we have over 55 odd gigs of storage available. And but overall, I'm kind of impressed how we managed to pull this off. I mean, Xiaomi was quiet the later half of 2015, not many announcements, not many products. But then come 2016, and they've been announcing a bomb after the other. Redmi Note 3, Redmi Note 3, then it was in China, and then last year, late last year, and then you had the Redmi Note 3 Snapdragon version coming out in India, and you had the Mi5 being announced globally in Mobile World Congress, and now you have the even they announced the Mi4S as well, I guess, in China. And the
Yeah.
Mi 5 is actually coming to India as well. They've made a bold statement. They're going to be bringing this soon to India. And I'm like, wow. So
I
this is
think
probably one of the best.
yeah, I think the Mi 5 looks really beautiful. I can see what you're saying. Like the bezel is so thin. I can imagine that if the Mi Note Pro's design is compressed into a small factor, it would definitely work out. Definitely work out.
Yep. And I'm like putting this in one pocket and the S7 Edge in another pocket, and I'm like, wow. So both are actually competing with each other. You see that this is the S7 Edge is basically a top of the line from Samsung, and this is the top of the line from Xiaomi. Internals wise, 4 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 820 on this one. This is Exynos in India, top of the line Exynos. In the US, this is a Snapdragon 820 as well. So I mean, not much difference in terms of the offerings, but in terms of the pricing, yes, a huge difference. This is probably half the price of a Galaxy S7 Edge. The S7 Edge, yes, software-wise, I do like TouchWiz a lot more than MIUI. But then, come on, this is for half the price. What more do you expect? I wish you get custom ROMs for Xiaomi devices in future. I mean, if they unlock the bootloader, that is. But otherwise, I mean, pretty cool stuff. And this is a dual SIM device, and I'm actually running two SIM cards in here. I don't know if you can see it. So I'm actually running two Airtel SIM cards just to test the performance, and pretty cool. Getting pretty good speeds and doesn't heat up. Actually, I haven't tested a lot of gaming and all the benchmarks. We'll be doing that later this week. So do stay tuned to FoneArena for that. But initial impressions, I'm sold. I mean, this if it launches in India for like say 25, 30,000, this is going to sell like hotcakes. And brings us to even another company. I think this is the other company. I think the LE TV, which is actually launching the Laymax Pro 2 show in India. That's also a Snapdragon 820 device. That's also supposed to be priced really attractively. So looking forward to all these devices. Maybe they're going to be coming out April, May, June time frame in India. So, but the Mi5, I think probably the best Xiaomi device which has been launched, and I did get impressed when I actually saw it in Mobile World Congress. But the only problem was this is the white version, which is free from the trouble of fingerprints. So there's also the black version and also I think the golden version. But this is the white version, which doesn't have the problem with fingerprints because it's white and it's you can't see it much. But the obviously similar to the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, the darker variants have the fingerprint smudging problem. And this is only 64 gigabyte model. This is not the Mi 5 Pro. So there's a lot of confusion around the Mi 5. There are actually three variants. We actually did a separate video about the difference between the three devices. But still, I mean, people have been asking us as to what's different. So this is the 64 gigabyte model, and you also have version which is 32 gigabyte model, which is going to be cheaper. And there's also a 120 gigabyte model, is called the Mi 5 Pro, which is goes all out. You have 100 gigs of space. You also get a special 3D ceramic back cover. There's only 3D glass, which could break. Maybe it's less prone to scratches, but the 3D ceramic is even more robust, according to Hugo Barra. And it's also got the same 4 gigs of RAM, same clock speed as a 64 gigabyte model. But I don't know if it's in on sale yet. From what I've been speaking with my friends in China, they've told me that only the entry level 32 gigabyte and 64 gigabyte model are on sale. There's no word about the 100 gigabyte Mi 5 Pro. So hopefully that comes out soon and we'll see what's different. But I think most likely India will get only the 64 gigabyte model considering the cost benefit. And ceramic is hard to make according to what I've heard, and maybe they'll have a short supply and they'll just keep it as a probably marketing device. I mean, they don't think they'll sell much of those. But I'm sure this one, if it comes in India, is going to be creating wonders for Xiaomi because the feel is good. The device feels great in the hand and even works great. I mean, I think I've been confused as to which device I use, the S7 Edge or the Mi 5 since the Mi 5 arrived. But yeah, I've been sticking to the S7 Edge for now. Maybe soon enough, I'll move to the Mi 5 and try it out. Yeah.
So between S7 and the S7 Edge, sorry, I mean between the S7 Edge and the Mi 5, you choose the Mi 5, right? Varun, can you hear me? Sandeep?
Yeah, so between the S7 Edge and the Mi 5, I would personally say that ergonomics-wise, the S7 Edge is definitely better because it has the dual curved edges. And on the S6 Edge, I think it wouldn't have helped much because only the front was curved and the back was flat, and as well as the bezels, it had some sharpness to it, which made it difficult to hold. But the S7 actually feels really, really good to hold and handle. The Mi 5 is actually pretty good. I would say Mi 5 is actually better than the S7, but S7 edge-wise, I would definitely go for the edge variant. Another thing I noticed about the Mi 5 was that it's probably too light. It's around 129 grams, which sounds a bit heavy for some devices, but considering the size of the device, 5.1 inches, it's probably too light. I felt it too light when I held it in my hand, almost like it would float away or something. So in that respect, I actually prefer the ceramic variant since it's around 10 grams heavier. It doesn't sound like much, but it actually makes a difference in terms of practical usage. It feels good to hold and it feels good to handle. And like Warren said, it's actually a bit harder. Not and even the fingerprints actually don't appear that easily on the ceramic variant as compared to the glass variant. So if you put the glass and the ceramic side by side, both black variants, the ceramic actually has some repulsion to fingerprints as opposed to the glass variant as well. What is really beautiful about these devices is the way they've actually blended the glass or ceramic into the bezel itself. So
Yeah.
I know you had used the Vino Pro for quite a while. So that actually had a bit of a gap between the glass and the bezel, which made it a bit weird to hold or in your hand. You notice that there's a gap. This actually blends in seamlessly, and that is really good engineering on Xiaomi's part. How they've actually managed to do that. It's nearly identical or as good as S7 itself. But overall, as a smartphone, I think the S7 definitely wins it for me on a personal scale because of the handling, the better battery life. The Mi 5 is certainly better than the S7, but not as good as the S7 Edge. Then the screen and stuff like that. There are a few things that I feel the S7 Edge can do better overall. So I would definitely go for the S7 Edge. But for a compact device, I think it could probably beat out the Galaxy S7 when it comes to value for money and overall performance as well. The only thing you would probably be missing is the micro SD card slot and the waterproof ability. And one amazing thing about the Mi 5 is the video stabilization, 4 axis.
Right.
That is insane. Like, XYZ as well as the transversal axis. And as far
Yeah.
as I've been reading, I think the transversal axis is software, not actual hardware. But regardless of what it is, it seems to do the job really well. So we look forward to testing that, I guess. So it's really nice.
Yep, I think I haven't played with the camera much, but yeah, need to test it out. It actually supports even 4K video capture, and also the 4-axis stabilization might help too. And yeah, so you actually need to test the camera more to actually find out. But yeah, as you said, S7. Yeah, so I think the form factor itself, it doesn't really compete with the S7 Edge. It's
Okay.
probably competing with the S7. So as you can see, so it's competing with probably the S7 in terms of the size, even almost on par with the sizes of
Yeah, the
the.
videos of
But if you see this S6 Edge as well, so it's pretty much the same size as the S7, but the S7 Edge seems like probably a little bigger than the S7. It's a sweet spot between the S7 and S7 Edge, and that's the reason I think it makes it a lot comfortable to hold. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to using it. It looks pretty cool, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, Varun, hello.
Bharat, are you
Yeah, I
here?
think Bharat, this tablet has some issues, but I think the next topic what we can talk about is basically the iPad Pro, the smaller iPad Pro, which is going to be announced in just a day's time. So that and the iPhone 5SE. But before we move on to the iPhone, I guess we can start talking about the iPad Pro. So, what do you think about that? What do you expect from the iPad Pro since you are a
I
fan
don't
and
know
a
if we are
user?
live. I don't know if we are live. I think it says FoneArena left the call. So are we live?
We are. So, what do you think about the iPad Pro, the smaller one?
I think I'll get one. I mean, I think the problem is that the iPad Pro has been too big to carry around. So maybe the iPad Pro, the 10 inch or 9 inch makes more sense.
Yeah, but
Let's
then the
see.
Pro had a few features which needed a bigger screen in order to actually make it better, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't really need the big screen as Apple kind of projected it. You can actually do that even on a Samsung 5 inch, 5.5 inch phone, right? So
Yeah,
the
the
Galaxy
stylus.
Note,
Yeah.
you could do this with this. So basically,
Mm.
this screen did work fine. This is the software
Okay.
wasn't optimized. So maybe they're working on that to actually bring that software optimization to a smaller screen. I'm
Mm.
sure in future we'll have an iPhone also with a stylus as per
Mm.
rumors. But yeah, 9.7 inch iPad Pro. I mean, I'm going to be setting my 12 inch iPad Pro and getting that because it's just can't carry the iPad Pro much. It's just too heavy.
So
I
how do you
mean,
think
that's
will affect the market of the larger iPad Pro then? Won't Apple essentially be killing or ruling around the sales of the larger version if they actually introduce the smaller one?
I mean, I think the reason they're going with the smaller one is because they haven't seen much traction on the 12 inch. Probably was expected by them. Obviously,
Mm.
it's expensive and it's larger. Not many people prefer it. I think only the hardcore design guys and professionals got the iPad Pro 12 inch. I mean, it's going to be going even more mass market with the 9.7 inch screen.
Mm.
Everybody wants an iPad. Why not a Pro?
Yeah.
It's a few more dollars and you get a Pro. So it's going to be really
Yeah.
interesting to see the stream tomorrow. They're live streaming the event. So
Yeah.
surprisingly, it's available on Windows 10 on Internet Explorer, which Edge browser too. So
So do you
yeah,
think they'll eventually kill the 12-inch iPad Pro like
they're
they
not
did
kill
with
it. It's
the
probably like a Mac Pro. I mean, it's there for a reason, but those
yeah.
who want to buy it
But
would buy it.
now there's no longer the 17-inch MacBook anymore. So that
Yeah.
was
So
a big part.
I think I think it's too early to call its death, but I'm sure it's going to be staying there for a while. It's cool for some applications, but not for all. I mean, it's not the most portable device.
Mhm.
The
I think
iPad
for
is.
someone who is using it just at home, I think it makes sense. But for someone who is
Yeah,
on the travel on the go, then the smaller one makes
yeah,
more sense.
exactly. So yeah, and I think they didn't have the software and hardware ready last year to bring it
Yeah.
on a 7-10 inch form factor. But I think they have it now, so maybe that's the reason they're bringing it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to actually see what they announce. And then the iPhone 5 SE, I don't know
Yeah.
why they are calling it that, the rumors.
I especially
Uh,
I guess. But what do you think about that? The smaller
special
screen, but more
special edition or
high-detail
special
items.
edition? I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know. I think even the iPhone 5s has been selling for really crazy price. I was in the market the other day and it was like going for 17, 18,000, the 5s.
Mm.
And the same device I paid like 50,000 plus in Hong Kong 2 year or 3 years back.
Yeah.
So yeah, Apple has been finally figuring out how to get into the market without
Yeah.
selling at the full price. And a lot of people have been moving to the iPhone because they're getting an iPhone for a really good deal. I mean, even the 6S, barely a
Mm.
year since it got introduced, not even like 6 7 months, and we already have it selling it for 40,000. It was introduced at around 50,000 or 60,000 in India, and
Yeah.
now you have it selling for the 16 gigabyte model is going for about I think 40,000.
Yes.
So I mean, I think it's probably something got to do with the whole duties and economics of getting it imported.
Yeah.
But overall, I kind of see the 5SE replacing the 5S
Yeah.
and the 5C as well. 5C never really did any good. But they're saying that it looks exactly like the 5S, but probably in a newer shell.
Yeah. A more curvier body is what I think.
Yeah, so maybe it's comparing the 5S and the 5C.
See, yeah.
it should be interesting to see what the pricing is like. I'm sure it's going to be 399 or 499 at launch, but it's going to be it's probably Apple's plan to kind of enter to take on the likes of Xiaomi and
Yeah.
LE and Oppo and all those guys in China, because China is
Yeah.
where Apple is kind of losing out a lot in terms of these homegrown players. And the main reason these guys don't buy an iPhone is because of the price. A 6S
Yeah.
Plus costs close to $1,000. I mean, a 6S, but still people buy it. It's not that people are not buying it, but still they could achieve a much bigger market share with a device priced very attractively at $300, $400. But the problem with Apple is once Apple launches something like this, people don't really see Apple as a cost friendly player. They want to get the most expensive one. Consumers are so glued. They have their eyes glued on the most premium device, right? They don't want to get something substandard from Apple. And when you
Mm.
see an iPhone 6s Plus, that's more popular than the iPhone 6s. 6s
Yeah.
didn't do much good. I mean, the same
Yeah.
way for even the MacBook lineup as well, right? So even the 15-inch MacBook Pro is probably one of the most popular MacBook Pros,
Mm.
and even the 12-inch MacBook didn't pick off much for them. Even though it was a great product, I have one, I love it. 13-inch Air has been doing much better from them in the portable segment, and if you see the price cuts in the 12-inch MacBook, I really regret buying one early because the prices dropped very much since I bought one. But yeah,
Mm.
so that's the problem with Apple, right? People set their eyes on premium products. It's a premium brand. It's not a brand known for making. It's not a Xiaomi. It's not
Mm.
even a Samsung. It's Apple, right? So people aspire to get the top end version. So why settle for a substandard or a lower end product from
Mm.
Apple? I don't know if it would really work for them. But yeah, they're launching something. Let's see, wait and watch as to what it offers. And it should be interesting to see what they actually announce apart from the iPhone and the iPad.
Yeah,
Should
I
be
was just,
interesting.
I was just, I just conked off. So sorry about that. But I want to talk about the 5SE. I know you were touching up on that topic. So you're saying it's going to be cheap, but do you think the quality is going to be substantially less than what
No.
Apple usually offers? Because I felt the 5C's quality was pretty substandard from whatever Apple has ever offered. It was like worse than the original iPhone. So that's my personal opinion. But what do you think the 5SE is gonna be like? Is it going to be substandard like the 5C? Is that what you're implying, or do you think they could still offer quality product at really low prices?
I think Apple, I think can't really. Is not a brand known to offer expensive stuff at an attractive price point. They are known as a premium player, and I'm not sure if they'll be successful in actually making something affordable.
No,
So
but I
I
think
don't
the
know.
5C was a pretty poor device in terms of execution. Maybe that's why it failed. Maybe it could have been priced a little better. Maybe it could have succeeded. We cannot pin Apple's failures on just the 5C, because that's the only cheap device that they have done as far as I'm concerned. Uh,
Mhm.
but don't you think 5SE uh, could be, because from what I've seen, the data is that Apple's growth is stalling. Apple's developed markets are full of iPhones already, and they are not going to be. They are going to stick to an upgrade cycle. It's going to be every 2 years or every year or something like that. But they have noticed that they can get sales here in India, because we've already seen them getting the sales in China. So in case Apple wants to sell in India, obviously they have to target to a different segment of the market. Maybe they could. I mean, they definitely could, and they need the sales. They need the growth. They need growth in sales. Unless that happens, obviously, Apple's main big chunk of the revenue is going to constantly reduce if Apple doesn't get this market. So, so what are your thoughts on that?
So I think yeah, Apple is trying hard to take on the market. I mean, they need more market share. Obviously, the entire premium smartphone market is kind of on headed for a dive, right? So, I mean, if you have devices like Xiaomi Redmi Note 3, like selling for about 9,999, which so the shipments are like or the sales bulk of the markets, especially in India and emerging markets, bulk of the shipments are in that segment. Apple can't get a 10,000 rupee iPhone out, but then they'll try close. I mean, probably somewhere between what they have in the market and what the actual price point, I mean, the active or attractive price point for the market is. So yeah, but I don't really see consumers wanting an iPhone price at that point. But how will the reaction be? We'll have to actually probably run a poll or something on our site and figure out what's the interest is. Would people buy? Probably once the announcement is out, maybe we should run a poll and figure out if you actually want to buy an iPhone for that price. Me personally, no, I'll probably pick an Android device for that price because I know the experience wouldn't be the same as an iPhone 6s or 7 which is coming out. So but Apple is going after the users who have never probably used a smartphone before. For them, it doesn't really make a difference. So seeing from that point of view, I mean, it's a fair gamble from Apple's end because they've got nothing to lose. I mean, they only market share to gain. They can't just give deep discounts like the strategy what Samsung does or even Xiaomi does, saying it at cost. Because Apple's obviously is a profit-oriented company. They don't want to be selling it at a loss or at cost. So the other way to tackle is maybe offering a much more low cost offering than their flagships and see how it goes. I'll be really interested to see what the specs are like and what the user reactions are to that device. I think it's probably
I'm
best.
very interested to see if the SE is going to have Force Touch or not, because I think Force Touch
It won't.
It
is
won't.
a good direction for UX, but I don't think it's going to
Yeah,
have
it's a
it.
premium offering. I mean, that's something premium, right? They didn't even have it on the I
Six.
mean,
Should
the iPad
that be
Pro.
premium? Because I don't think a capacitive touchscreen is a premium. I mean, when iPhone came out, that's how they acted, like a capacitive touchscreen is a premium, but now it is not, right? Pinch to zoom was a premium feature. You only got it on the iPhone. But should they have it? Uh, should they lock Force Touch like that?
Maybe for this year they will. I mean, next year they might free it up and they might launch a 6SE or something like that with post touch. But I think at least for the current year, I don't think they'll do anything like that. And I actually see it quite differently in terms of Apple doing it well because I feel any consumer who is prepared to spend 10,000 rupees for an Android smartphone will definitely be willing to spend even 15,000 rupees as long as they get an Apple smartphone. So in places like India, especially, it's still considered to be a status symbol to own an iPhone. It doesn't matter which iPhone. They don't even know the model number. They just say, "Oh, you have an Apple iPhone. That's pretty cool." Especially between kids, it's something of a status symbol that they actually own an iPhone. So they don't care about the end features or whatever. They might not even know
Yeah.
what the features are and
So
what difference it gives them, but they still would go for the
95.
iPhone, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, so they would still go for the iPhone even if it was 5K or 6K more, as long as they're getting an iPhone. And
Yeah,
being
yeah.
Apple, I feel they would give, at least in terms of the software experience, they would give something almost identical for all the consumers, even if it was a lower price device. And I think they have learned from the 5C. They occasionally make mistakes in most of their things. Even with the iPod Nano, they went a weird way in between by introducing a fat iPod Nano, which went against the basics of having an iPod Nano. They went back to having a smaller, more compact one. So similarly, I feel they'll do the same thing with the iPhone 5 SE as well. Go back to their roots, focus on what they do the best, and then improve on it
Right.
and release something that is actually well refined, well designed for the market, and people will still want to buy it, even if it's possible.
The 9 to 5 report says that there is no 3D touch, so
Yeah.
that's ruled out. And it seems like the 5 SE might have the SE, not the 5 SE anymore. The SE might have a 12 megapixel sensor for the
Yeah,
camera, which is
with
pretty
4K.
good with 4K. Yes, yeah, yeah. And about the 9.7-inch iPad, I'm sure Varun is pretty excited about it.
We actually talked about it while you were gone.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm actually thinking of selling my
plan,
iPad Pro,
Varun
which
has
never
probably
used.
planned his next trip to the Apple store for this.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to go to Hong Kong once everything is announced to get one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
so I
need to
think the
listen.
9.7-inch iPad Pro is something expected because 12-inch iPad Pro was expensive, bulky, and it was actually an experiment by Apple, right, to see how users would react and also let the ecosystem evolve along the Apple Pencil. So that's in place now. So they already have apps which support the Apple Pencil. You have users like early adopters already have the iPad Pro, but I don't really carry it much often because it's just too bulky to carry around, and it's probably a I'm seeing it like a Mac rather than a iPad. So maybe it's opinion across the market that we need a portable iPad Pro, and maybe that's the reason Apple kind of is readying one. And I'm sure the tech wasn't ready to fit on a 10-inch screen a year back or so. So maybe it's a calculated ploy. We never know about Apple. So they wanted to test waters with a 12-inch device and then launch a 10-inch device. So yeah, it should be interesting to see. I'm sure this will get more popular than the iPad Pro because obviously it's going to be less expensive than the 12-inch and also more portable. So and obviously there are more apps. So hoping the prices are pretty attractive, which may like that's what are going to actually dictate the demand for the product. But yeah, 9.7-inch iPad Pro is something going to be really interesting actually because mainly because it's going to be more portable.
Yeah, I think 9.7 inch is a pretty good screen size for whatever the iPad can do. I when I saw the iPad Pro, I felt like, why is this so huge? Why it shouldn't be this big and huge and bulky, because it's meant to be a really good portable device. And iPad Air was one of the lightest tablets ever made, which was crazy for such a big screen. So I think the 9.7-inch iPad Pro should work well. But I think this is completely a new direction for the iPad, right? Are they going to cancel the iPad Air? Is it done? Is it going to be just iPad Pro from now on?
I'm not sure. I think we might have both models at least for 1 year, sort of a transition period of sorts. But
Yeah, I'm sure they will have the models, but there is not going to be any iPad Air 4 or something like that, right? It's going
no,
to be
I
just
think
iPad
they'll still
Pro.
retain the previous generation one. Maybe something like an iPhone 5 SE itself, have a previous generation one iPad along with the Pro version as well. Something similar to what they're planning to do with the iPhone 7 as well, right? iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and 7 Pro. So have three different variants of that itself.
Right. That should be interesting. So I think we are pretty much on the same page on this one. The Apple event, which is going to be uh, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night at 11:30 p.m. In Indian Standard Time. So in case you are interested about the Apple event tomorrow, check it out. It will be live streamed on their uh, QuickTime plugin inside the Safari website and also inside of Windows 10 and of course your Apple devices. So that's about that. And I want to move on to the questions. We have a couple of them here. I want to start with Shimon's question. What do you think about the HTC 10 perfume? That's the first question. Varun, you want to answer this?
HTC 10?
The HTC 10, because the first podcast, I think me, Sandeep, and Dhruv talked about it. I pretty much lean towards its looks. I think it looks pretty cool. Maybe that's my bias for HTC phones,
I was
but
expecting it to actually launch on March 10th, but sadly disappointed. They sent the
okay.
countdown timer and all, so I was expecting to see it. But yeah, it's been a long due. I think March 23rd or something is when the HTC M8 launched. Like I remember correctly, last year, I think 2014. I mean, it's been almost
Yeah,
2 years since the
2014.
M8 came out. So looking forward to seeing a refresh. And obviously, HTC is the only one who doesn't have a flagship. LG has one, Samsung has one, Xiaomi has one. I mean, even Apple is about to launch a new device. It's been very quiet. HTC has been not announcing. They've announced mid-range devices, but not anything flagship. I think they've been very busy with the Vive. I mean, that's the reason probably not seeing much with the mobile devices. I think they're seeing more promise from the VR side of things than the phone business. But yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they're going to be stopping launching phones. We're looking forward to the M10 or whatever it's called. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to
and
be.
also obviously we have a lot of flagships coming in, right? It's just the G5, Samsung. We still have the iPhone coming. The Mi 5 is incoming, of course, and then of course we have OnePlus 3.
That's
OnePlus
probably later
3.
half Q2. That's what they said. But yeah, we're already in Q2, right? I mean, April is Q2.
Yeah,
So
almost.
yeah,
So what
somebody
about
asked me to get the OnePlus
OnePlus
2 or
3?
the Mi 5. I was like, OnePlus 2 is almost a year old, and should probably wait for the OnePlus 3. So
Yeah, what about the OnePlus 3? What do you expect? There's not been many leaks yet. We just saw some teasers. I think just Carl Page just talking about it in some interview. That's it, I guess. Not much we heard about the OnePlus 3,
yeah, I
but
think
generally I feel pretty positive this time because Carl Page said there is going to be a change in design. So since I was a big hater of the OnePlus 2 design aesthetic, I think I should be looking forward to the OnePlus 3's design. But what do you guys think?
Sandeep.
Yeah, so I personally felt that the OnePlus 2 compromised quite a lot, especially on the hardware front. You know. They are a company who, I mean, they still have the slogan "Never Settle." So they are some a company who always wanted to push the boundaries of what a smartphone is supposed to do. So they actually did that with the OnePlus One. It had almost no flaws whatsoever in terms of hardware. At least the software too was CyanogenBased, based, and that was pretty good for some of the users, power users especially. But the OnePlus Two had quite a lot of flaws, especially with the charging speed. It was a USB Type C, but not a proper one. There was a lot of confusion as well between people regarding what exactly is the charger specification, and even with the Type C adapter, they had a lot of backlash since that could essentially brick your device and used it with a device other than the OnePlus 2. So I feel that they did some sort of measures in order to cut costs, to cut corners, and actually reduce the price as well. But even if it's a bit costlier than the OnePlus One or even OnePlus Two, as long as they give a perfect device or something that doesn't really sacrifice on some essentials, I think it's going to be something good. With the OnePlus 2, I feel that the design felt a bit more premium in terms of the actual feel, but like you said, the aesthetics weren't as good. It felt a bit more blockier, a bit more. The sandstone thing is pretty good as well, but I feel they need to experiment
Yeah,
more with the kind of
I
materials they
really like
use.
the OnePlus One design. I
Yeah,
really liked it because I
agreed,
felt
agreed.
the sandstone and the overall feel was very similar to what I had with the Oppo Find 5, which I really liked.
Yeah.
So I felt the OnePlus One was like a magnified Oppo Find 5, but then I
So it's
felt it
actually
went
based on the
downward.
Find 7, right? The
Yeah,
OnePlus One.
it
It
is.
borrows
It
a
is.
lot
It
of
is.
design elements from the Find 7 itself. So the OnePlus
I,
2, I think, did a lot of things right. I think sticking to 1080p is one good thing. Better battery
yeah.
life. Dual SIM was another good thing. I think the express back covers made more sense rather than having to remove the entire back casing. But then again, even the laser autofocus. But then again, there were issues with most of the hardware. The implementation finally wasn't as good as what they did with OnePlus One, and that's why I think they haven't done as well with the second generation one. But hopefully, they find out the sweet spot between cost cutting as well as proper no nonsense smartphone as well, and we would give out a good smartphone this year.
Right. Warren, you have anything to add about the OnePlus
Yeah,
3?
I'm looking forward to the OnePlus 3 because they actually messed it up quite a bit. I think they rushed out the OnePlus 2. I mean, I'm seeing more people being happy, even including myself, with the OnePlus 1 rather than the OnePlus 2. It's a great design, but they tried to swing it, I think, too much compared to the OnePlus 1. So maybe that's the reason they had some heating issues. The fingerprint sensor was a stupid design. I mean, on the home key, which never goes in. Didn't really like that. Camera was great. I mean, the overall performance, especially even dual SIM, I really love the dual SIM functionality. I think it was one of the first flagships to offer dual SIM at that kind of price point, 20, 22K. And you still had, like, you were running the latest version of Android, I think Lollipop, and got it really early. So they did a lot of things right, but they got a lot of things wrong too. I think they had a lot of time to gamble with the OnePlus One, especially since it was only invite only. But then they went with an open sale on the OnePlus Two, scaled up really quickly. But then with OnePlus 3, I see them actually reach a fair ground with the balance of features and I mean not doing stupid things like removing quick charge just because of saving $1. I mean, how crazy can you get? I mean, I know it's an affordable device, but then these are features which matter every day, right? The reason I don't like using a OnePlus 2 at that point of time was it didn't have quick charge. I mean, every
Yeah.
other device has a quick charge. I think we should probably uh, do a video wish list for the OnePlus 3 and send it over to Kalpay so that he doesn't does some because the big problem for OnePlus is they have tons of competition now. and you have Xiaomi, very fine example. This is the OnePlus. I mean, this is the Xiaomi Mi 5 taking on probably the OnePlus 3, even probably 3 4 months ahead of its launch. And you also have this even LED TV. I mean, I've been liking the build quality on these guys' devices. I mean, it's
Solid.
sadly it's really solid, and it's got some really nice features. And this is a Laymax which Sandeep has, really nice devices in terms of hardware. And these guys, another upcoming device from them is the Laymax Pro, also a Snapdragon 820 device. So that's also on the same lines of Mi 5, but then probably a little bit more delayed into the market. But it's coming probably sooner to India. So you have them. You have OnePlus has to take on Xiaomi, LED TV. You have Oppo. You have the Samsung. You also have Apple, and obviously there's so much more competition. There's Vivo. There's so many players right now entering India. I mean, there's Coolpad. There's Chiku. I mean, just can't recollect names top of my head. But then OnePlus is taking on, like, it wasn't the same 1 year back. Now, most of these players were not even there in the market. There was no Chiku. There was no LETV. There was no Coolpad. But you have so many players in the market now. So there's also InFocus now. So there's so many brands, and it's a big crowd out there. How can a brand like OnePlus, who claims to never settle, kind of differentiate? I mean, unless they do something really drastically different over the OnePlus 2 and try to perfect it like the OnePlus 1, it wouldn't really work for them. But I'm sure they're aware of that, and they do kind of bring a device. I'm sure it's going to be a Snapdragon 820, considering
Yeah.
the close tie-up with Qualcomm, and I'm sure it's going to be at least 4 gigs of RAM. Design is going to change, and then maybe we'll see obviously Android Marshmallow or even Android N by the time they launch. Maybe they're waiting for that for I/O. So yeah, apart from that, with this, I think camera, they've always done good job in terms of the camera. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what the design looks like, and hopefully there should be some leaks in few weeks
Yeah.
from now.
Should be soon.
But yeah, looking forward to what they launch, because I mean, the package has been great, but it's been upsetting to see some of the good things go away when they shifted from OnePlus 1 to OnePlus 2. But the OnePlus X was a great device, but sadly, some features weren't really there. It was very slippery also, and the pricing wasn't too attractive, so it didn't really like take off much. But yeah, I think it was probably a better device than the OnePlus 2 in terms of the overall kind of offerings. But yeah, but I think
Yeah,
OnePlus
more
still.
satisfying. I feel the OnePlus X has a more satisfying design and also an experience at that price. I want to move on to another question. This is from Karthik Gupta, and this I want to ask Sandeep directly because I know Sandeep would be able to immediately answer this. I want to buy new in-ear headphones. I hear electronic music a lot. Mic needed under 1,000 rupees. Sandeep, you have any recommendations?
Under 1,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's not many headphones, earphones that you can get under 1,000 immediately. But the thing is that you can actually look out for quite a few offers on Flipkart. They have a few headphones and earphones, particularly from Sony and Sennheiser. I think CX series, they definitely have a few offers that actually bring the price down below 1,000. So these are typically earphones which cost around 1,500 or so. But when they are on offer, they actually come below 1,000 rupees, and these actually have pretty good quality in terms of the actual dynamic range. I mean, depending on your device also. I mean, if you hear electronic music, you would want something with more punchier bass and all that, but that is something more dependent on your device. So as long as your device can also support good output, this will do really good justice. And it has a built-in microphone with a call or an answer or a reject button as well. So that is something that he should definitely check. The Sennheiser CX series, and Sony do have a few of them. I'm not exactly sure of the model number, but probably I can actually send him a link or so after the session so that he can take a look
Yeah,
at
you
those.
can also drop in a comment with these
Yeah. So I'll do
questions,
that.
and we'll.
Like, I'll just get back to you after this session with links of possible earphones that you can watch out for. I think I've seen some of them actually drop quite a bit in terms of price. Maybe you might not get the exact color that you want. You might get a bit different color, but you'll definitely get a good earphone for some 1,000 rupees.
Awesome. So I hope Karthik got the answer. And as I said earlier, if you have anything else to ask, do post a question below in the comment section. We'll try to get it answered. And the last question of the day is from Manikanta Sai. and it's about the Vibe X3 versus Redmi Note 3. Now I'm not sure about this, so I want to ask you guys: Vibe X3 versus Redmi Note 3, which one has the better camera and picture quality in low light? Sandy, have you used both of them?
5X3 and
Redmi Note 3.
Redmi Note 3. I haven't used the 5X3 to be honest, but Redmi Note 3 I think is pretty good, especially for a device at that price range. It has quite good performance. I think we can probably get back to you on that while comparing both the devices and seeing which actually has
I
better
mean,
device performance. Maybe Varun
I
can comment if he has used both.
yeah, briefly played with the Vibe X3. The best part about the Vibe X3 is the audio. So if you're an audiophile listening to a lot of music, then the Vibe X3 make a lot of sense because it's aimed at audiophiles. So that's one of the best, and it's also expensive, much more expensive than the Redmi Note 3. I don't know if it's a fair comparison. It's about 18,000, right, or
Yeah.
19,000.
Yes,
The
yes.
Vibe X3.
It's yeah,
So you can buy two Redmi.
almost twice, almost twice the price.
Yeah, so it's not a fair comparison at all. But I don't know if the camera is any good on the Vibe X3. I think I don't really remember, but from what I tried briefly, it was good. And the Vibe X3
Not amazing.
also,
I don't think it justifies the price, which is almost double. I think Redmi Note 3 will do just as good.
yeah, but Redmi Note 3 does have a decent camera. It does good take some good quality pictures in daylight, and but the in dark, low light photos aren't that great. So that's obviously a trade-off. But yeah, like in bright light conditions, I did see some good photos being clicked on the Redmi Note 3. Has a really nice camera, and even the front camera isn't that bad either. But what was the other feature he asked for? The camera and the other one?
No, I think it
Low light
was
performance.
just the camera and the low light performance. So I think yeah, pretty much answers his question, I guess. Thanks for the question. And we have another question just popped in, and this seems like from Korea. Now I use Xiaomi Mi Note. What do you think about the Mi Note versus Mi 5? For example, in terms of sound quality and camera, this the Mi Note versus Mi 5, not the Mi Note Pro. So yes, that's the question. I think Varun, you'll be able to answer this between
So this
Mi
is a
Note
Mi Note,
and
right?
Mi 5.
Mi 5.
Yes.
So yeah, I think this was a Snapdragon 801 if I'm not wrong, right? The Mi Note
810, 810,
Yeah, that's right. I think Mi
801.
810, 810 B 2.1.
or 805.
No, 810 was a Snapdragon, was a Mi Note Pro. I think this was
Oh, 801,
801.
yeah, yeah, 801, 801, correct.
801 or 805, I'm not really
5,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but in terms of design, very similar design, but then you see that it's a lot more slimmer and more compact, the Mi 5. Um, but I'm sure the Mi Note would offer a bigger screen. Obviously, it's a much larger screen, so for content consumption, the Mi Note would be good. But I'm not sure if Xiaomi is stopping the Mi Note series. I'm sure they're going to be actually launching another device to follow up with the Mi Note Pro. It might be coming out later this year, but as of now, it's the Mi 5. Very similar design. In terms of the audio quality, I'm sure the Mi Note Pro is better than Mi 5 is better than the Mi Note Pro because it packs a new audio chip on the inside on the Mi 5. And also it has I think it's slightly louder speaker too, and the screen gives you much better viewing angles, and it's still a
And also,
1080p
I'm
display.
also sure the camera is better, right?
Yeah, the camera is also better, and you also have a fingerprint sensor which is not there on the Mi Note. So you get a fingerprint sensor, also a home key which is useful to actually have on a phone. I didn't really like the capacitive keys on the Mi Note. So if you like the keys here, and also this is also a fingerprint sensor, so you actually use this to unlock the device as well. And also the camera is kind of very similar to the placement on the Mi Note, the Mi 5. But you also have quick charge 3.0 on the Mi 5. You really charge it really quickly to 100% or even 80% in like I think less than an hour's time or something. So which is pretty handy if you are using it. And if you're even using a battery pack which is compatible with quick charge 3.0, you're going to be getting much more better battery life. And this is actually a dual SIM. I'm not sure which version of Mi Note you have, but the Mi 5 is a dual SIM device. I'm not sure about Korea though. you guys have really advanced networks. I mean, probably you may even have Cat 6 or category 8 LTE, but I think this does work very well and on such networks. And you don't have memory card storage, you have only a dual SIM. It's all built-in storage. So this is 64 gigabytes of onboard storage. You also get a Mi 5 Pro. If you really want to go all out, I would say wait for the Mi 5 Pro and get that because it's got 110 gigs of storage, and also you get the 3D ceramic back, and it's got the same internals as this one. But if you're not patient enough to wait, get this one. This is pretty much the Mi 5. It's about, I think, roughly about $400 to $500 in terms of the price on multiple eBay stores and all that from China. It's on sale there. So yeah, the Mi 5 is slightly different than the Mi Note. I wouldn't compare the two as same level of device. It's a really big device, the Mi Note, whereas the Mi 5 is a small device. But overall, similar design language. You would really like the Mi 5 if you actually played with the Mi Note. So sure, you're going to be liking it. So do let us know if our suggestions were useful.
Yeah,
Thanks for the question.
and thanks for the question. So one last question again. We keep getting questions, and this is, I think, a pretty unfair question. It's from DJ Manoj. So I'm gonna outright tell you it's unfair because it's between the Redmi Note 3 or the Nexus 6. So I'm not sure how to answer that. I would choose the Redmi Note 3. That's my vote. So Varun?
Yeah, Redmi Note 3, Nexus 6 is old, right? So probably the Nexus. Yeah.
But it's still quite costly. It's what, like 2.5 times the cost of the Redmi Note?
So it's funny, right? So the Nexus 6 doesn't have a fingerprint sensor. They got rid of it in the last minute. So they just have an empty Motorola logo on the back. The Redmi Note 3 has a fingerprint sensor. You also get a much better, I think, you get Android 6, which I think Nexus 6 also would have Android 6 because it's a Nexus device. But you also get dual SIM, which Nexus 6 doesn't have. You also get the Snapdragon 650, whereas you have a 810 on the Nexus 6, which some users have had issues with.
I've felt that the Nexus 6 heats up a lot.
Mm-hmm. But the screen on the Nexus 6 is lovely, so and even the battery life is slightly better, I would say, on the Nexus 6. But then you have Quick Charge 2.0 on the Nexus 6, which I think Redmi Note 3 has slow charge 2.0. Takes forever to charge. I mean, it's just.
So DJ Manoj has commented again. He says Nexus 6 at 14,000 rupees. Thoughts on that?
Not so bad. Yeah, if that's the case.
That's a pretty good price, but yeah, even then, I think it depends on what he wants, whether big screen experience is what he's looking for.
Yeah, so if you want Android updates,
I think Nexus 6 should be the option.
If you want Android updates, then yes. Maybe you should also consider the 5X, which is also slightly more expensive. I think it's 18,000 or 19,000 now. I really regret paying 30-odd thousand for the 5X. So much of loss I've never incurred on buying a phone. 5X was like ridiculous. And
Another thing he needs to know is that the 6 is almost nearing the end of its product cycle. So I don't think they'll be supporting much. Maybe Android.
In case something goes wrong, the Nexus 6, you're like kind of left with, you'll be left with a dead device. Even getting parts might be a little hard.
Yeah.
So that's the catch. But maybe you should consider the 5X if he's that inclined towards the Nexus. Maybe you should consider the 5X, which also packs a fingerprint sensor. You get latest Android version. Really good camera on the 5X. If I had to pick, I would pick the 5X over the Nexus 6. Like Redmi Note 3, obviously yes for the price, but if he wants to like invest a little bit more money, I would recommend the 5X.
All right. So I guess that answers your question, Manoj. And we are getting to the end of the show. It's more than an hour now. Thanks for hanging around. This was the third episode of FoneArena Talkies. We got to discuss a lot of things, I guess. So this video will be archived. Thanks for watching it live. And if you still have questions, if you're watching the archive, you can definitely post them below and we'll try to get them answered. So that's me signing off. I'll leave the outro to Varun and Sandeep for their own versions. So, Varun?
Yeah, thank you guys. Always fun to have you guys join us. And thank you again. And see you guys in the next week, probably the same time, probably a little sooner. So see you guys. Maybe we'll have some other device by next week. I'm not really sure we're going to be getting any other device. But yeah, maybe we'll be spending more time with the Mi 5 and S7 and probably some other new device and come back to you. Yep.
Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So we'll definitely be answering all your questions. If you still have some questions that you'd like to be answered relating to today's topic, you can actually let us know. in the comment section, and we'll get back to you. And Karthik, I'll get back to your earphone question as well once the session is over. So thanks for watching, guys. See you again next week.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.